Today we're going to talk about solving linear inequalities. This is section 4 of chapter 1. So the only difference really between solving linear equations and solving linear inequalities is the fact that we're dealing with a less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. And the thing that we really need to make sure that we're cognizant of and remember is that if we have multiplication or division by a negative number, then the direction of the inequality will switch. Okay, so let's go ahead and start right in with two examples. The first example, we have 3x minus 7 is greater than 2 times the quantity x minus 4 minus 1. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start this like we would with an equation. We'll use our distributive property to clear the parentheses. So we have our 3x minus 7 is greater than 2x minus 8 and minus 1. Next, we're going to go ahead and combine like terms. So we have on this side a negative 8 and a negative 1. So we keep our 3x minus 7 here greater than 2x minus 9. And then we want to start to move the x's together, the variables together, and the constants. So I'm going to move this 2x over here, and at the same time, I'm going to go ahead and move this 7 over here. Okay, so we have 3x minus 2x, and then negative x plus 7, or excuse me, negative 7 plus 7. And we have 2x minus 2x and negative 9 plus 7 here, so negative 2. Okay, so that's the first piece of the instructions, which were to solve the inequality. Next, we're going to go ahead and graph our solution. And so the way that we'd graph our solution is on a number line. And we know that this is a greater than, so we have an open circle or a parenthesis in this particular case at negative 2. And then we can determine, if we're doing an open circle, we can simply put the open circle and then worry about determining which direction our arrows go. If we're using the parentheses, we want to make sure we know that our arrow goes, or our shading is to this side, so that we can make the appropriate parenthesis and then shade. Typically, if your variable's first, then this inequality symbol will match the end point of your arrow. Okay, so that's the second piece, graphing. And then the last piece is to write the solution set in in interval notation. So interval notation, as you recall, has the two endpoints. And in this particular case, our endpoint is negative 2, and we would use a parenthesis. And the endpoint at this end would be infinity. And infinity and negative infinity always have a parenthesis because we can't really clearly identify a point associated with infinity or negative infinity. Okay, we'll go ahead and do one more example. And so in example 2, we have a negative 2x minus 5 is this time less than 2. So here we had done a greater, now we're going to do a less than. So I'm going to go ahead and start to isolate my variable. I'll add 5 to both sides. And I have a negative 2x is less than 7. And then I want to get the x by itself. So I'm going to go ahead and divide by negative 2. Now, as you recall, when we divide by a negative, we are going to switch this inequality sign. So we have x is greater than, and we'll express our answer as negative 7 halves. Okay. Just remember that it doesn't matter if we have it written as negative 7 halves, or 7 over negative 2, or if we just write negative 7 halves, all of those are equivalent. So whichever way you have it written is fine. Okay. Next, we'll go ahead and we'll graph this solution. So we'll make our number line. Okay, and negative 7 halves is approximately negative 3 and, or is negative 3 and a half. So we have negative 1, negative 2, -3, -4, and somewhere in here will be our -7/2. Okay. Alright, and then we have x is greater than, so again we can use a parenthesis, and again we're going in this direction. Okay, in interval notation we'll have our -7/2. Endpoint on the other end is positive infinity. Okay, I'm going to ask you to complete number 3 for the remaining piece of homework tonight, and you should have that completed so that you're prepared tomorrow to share your answer either via calculator and or via class discussion. Alrighty, I'll see you all tomorrow.